So now comes the part of the evening that is so meaningful. We have so many wonderful community heroes here with us tonight. But each year we take the time to acknowledge people, very special people who have contributed above and beyond the call of duty, not only to CFRI, but to all people with CF. So each year, we solicit nominees from the national CF community. If you're on our email list, you saw the calls, please send in submissions of people that inspire, that you believe should be honored with these awards. So the two key ones are the Dave Stuckert Memorial Volunteer of the Year and the CFRI Professional of the Year. So these nominations come in from around the country, and the panel is not anything to do with CFRI staff. It is comprised of previous winners of the award. Which is always very challenging for everyone. And I also think that every year's, the previous year's awardees realize how special and meaningful the award is when they see the nominations that come in. So the first award to be presented this evening is the Dave Stuckert Memorial Volunteer of the Year Award. Dave Stuckert, for those of you who don't know, was a phenomenal CFRI volunteer. An adult with CF, he served as president of our board, edited our very first newsletter years ago, and offered unflagging support for our annual conferences, at that time CF camps and retreat. He died of CF in 1989 while in his late 20s. In his very short lifetime, he never stopped working toward a cure, nor supporting those around him living with CF, and this award is named in his honor. The winner of this year's award goes to an inspiring woman with CF, and she is a living donor transplant recipient, which we heard about this morning, this amazing, rare thing. She has served on CFRI's CF Summer Retreat Committee for many years. She plays a key role in marketing the event, helping to create the Buzz Guide, which offers promotion tools and tips. She helps to select speakers and plan the week's events, including bringing her own comedy improv group to perform. In addition to the retreat, this incredible volunteer has participated at CFRI's Advocacy Days in Sacramento. The inspiring recipient of the 2018 Dave Stuckert Memorial Volunteer of the Year Award is the fabulous Danielle Mandela.
Thank you, this is awesome. I had a few things that I wanted to say tonight, but if you got to see Reed's awesome speech the first night about coming out with CF, he beautifully covered a lot of what I was struggling to put into words about becoming an adult with CF. And so I just wanted to reemphasize his point about vulnerability. The last 2 years have probably been the most difficult that I've ever experienced in terms of my physical and mental health. I can go into detail, but I'm sure that everybody here is pretty familiar with how CF can really pile it on sometimes. But this is the first time that I really struggled to harness that resilience that used to come so easily when I was younger. So I found myself needing to pull back from some of my most cherished commitments just in order to take care of myself. And like Reed, I was trying my best not to think about what I felt like I was missing out on. I just sort of went into workhorse mode, and I trained harder, and I made charts and schedules for myself, and I forced myself to be positive and keep my hopes up. But behind all that, mentally, I was sinking. And the reality is that depression sometimes is unavoidable. What we're asked to do every day is not normal, and it's okay to not be able to handle it sometimes. And the reason I feel safe sharing this here with you guys is because I know that I'm not alone. I feel very lucky to have found a safe space in my early 20s where I could explore all these conflicting emotions openly and without fear of judgment. And for me, that place is CFRI's Adult Summer Retreat, which happens to be coming up August 16th to 21st. There's still time to sign up. But to be surrounded by a group of peers who once a year were just free to openly air our unfiltered, messy thoughts and emotions about CF, it validated my experience in a way that I didn't know I was missing, and it strengthened my belief in the power of vulnerability to relieve the fear of the unknown. And I think that's why it's so important for us to share, and it's not always easy or comfortable, but discomfort is where the most growth happens. And it can spark unexpected conversations and compassion from people who had no idea that we were struggling. Or it can solicit encouraging messages from people who wanted to help all along, but they didn't know how until we found the courage to say what was really going on. So I just want to encourage everybody to keep talking and keep listening and keep trying to understand each other. And a huge thank you to CFRI for valuing and recognizing the contributions of every voice in this awesome community. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. That was amazing, and this award is so well deserved. So thank you for all you do. So our next award. The second award to be presented tonight is the CF Professional of the Year Award. This, again, is part of the national call for nominations and review. And as those of you who are caregivers know, a career in CF poses unique demands. Despite significant advances in research and treatment, it remains a field fraught with setbacks and heartache. Our annual Professional of the Year Award honors our professional colleagues who remain steadfast in their commitment to improve the lives of those with CF. This award celebrates their dedication as well as their excellence in the field. This year's Professional of the Year Award goes to a dear, dear friend of the CF community, a pediatric pulmonologist at Lucile Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford. He's cared for countless children with CF through the years. In 1999, he completed the very first fellowship in pediatric integrative medicine ever funded by the National Institutes of Health, and he integrates the mind-body approach to healing as a complementary approach with standard CF care. At Stanford, our awardee is the Program Director for the Pediatric Pulmonary Fellowship Program, Associate Director for the Pediatric Residency Program, and because he's an overachiever, the Medical Director for the CORE Program, which assists with care coordination for children with complex medical needs. He has generously shared his time with CFRI through the years. He's had presentations at conferences, live streams, podcasts. He gives advice to staff on mind-body programs. He's cherished by his patients, both present and past. And this is totally unrelated to his profession, but he also unbelievably does those 50 and 100-mile runs. So, unbelievable. So we are so delighted to honor Dr. John Mark as our 2018 Professional of the Year.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really honored to receive this award tonight. I was thinking about how to approach this and my thanks. I was thinking, I took a little walk after the sessions this afternoon, and about third mile, me walking, running, about third mile straight west of here, if you go out the door, is a nice labyrinth. And I was thinking, like, this labyrinth, actually, I walked it, and it was really like my career in cystic fibrosis. I graduated from medical school 40 years ago this year and didn't know anything about CF, and I went to a small inner-city hospital in Kansas City, Missouri. At that time, there was a CF center there, but it was run by a PEDS GI and a PEDS ID person. There was not a pulmonary person in the whole area. And I really was drawn to the CF patients, and I said, that's what I want to do. So I wanted to go learn about CF and asthma and all the other lung diseases and come back, and I'll be at this children's hospital in Kansas City for the rest of my career. So I went to Rochester, New York, and under the tutelage of Robert Schwartz, who trained under Paul DeSantis at the NIH, learned so much about CF and met many, many patients over the years, of which some I've kept contact with. There was this one 3-year-old that I really became very close to during those 3 years there. After I left there, I came to UC Davis, and I was a co-director of the CF Center, but only for 2 years, because I met this woman who wanted to live in Santa Cruz, and she was an artist. I said, what the heck? I moved to Santa Cruz. So I moved to Santa Cruz. And I kind of got out of CF care, but I kind of had this, what I did in Santa Cruz, and then even in Salinas and Monterey, I learned from my patients about all the other things out there besides conventional care. I had patients coming in to ask me about, how about homeopathy? How about Chinese medicine? How about acupuncture? How about herbal remedies? And I had no idea what those were, but I was always willing to listen, and they taught me over these next 5 to 10 years. And then, as Siri said, I went down to the University of Arizona on a whim and took this 2-year fellowship with Andrew Weil. And then, by golly, after 2 years of doing that, I was back in academic medicine at the University of Arizona with Wayne Morgan and doing EFCF, the big studies on cystic fibrosis, and really became much ensconced back in the CF community, where I actually was seeing many CF patients. And then with Rick Moss and Carol Conrad, Colleen Dunn, Mary Helmers, they invited me back to Stanford. So I came back there in 2005, where I've been part of the CF community there since that time. And I was thinking about, that's kind of a roundabout way of getting into CF, but I really found out the most important thing about taking care of patients and families with CF is that you have to have this really holistic approach. It's not just which CFTR modulator you're on. It's not just which airway clearance you use. It's not which, do you do this, do you do that? I mean, really what you need to do is really approach the patient and really know what they're like. And I was thinking about that labyrinth. That really is what every CF family and every CF patient has to go through. It's all these turns. You have to be really persistent. You have to be really patient. And you really get to the center finally. And it has to do, everyone is different. No one has the same approach. We heard about personalized medicine earlier today. Really, every patient and every family and every care provider has to do personalized medicine. And I think that's really what we do. It has to do with your approach, what works for you, what works for your best health, and that's the best outcome. And sometimes that has to do with taking herbal remedies. Sometimes that has to do with prayer. Sometimes that has to be on the best brand new CFTR modulator. So thank you very much.
When he came up to the stage, I said, "Hey neighbor," because I live in Santa Cruz as well, so I'm lucky. We actually see each other on the trails, and you know, I'm feeling super virtuous because I'm on a slow 3-mile jog, and he's like, "Oh, he's just stretching. He's on mile 17." So now it is time to present the 4th annual CFRI Partners in Living Award in memory of Anabel Stenzel. And I say Anna's name and I choke up. Anna was a beloved member of our community, a strong woman with CF who lost her battle with cancer in 2013. Anna became involved with CFRI in 1990 after moving with her twin sister, Isa, to the San Francisco Bay Area to attend Stanford University. She first volunteered at CF Camp and then Retreat, ultimately chairing the committee. After her first lung transplant, Anna joined CFRI's board of directors, serving as secretary, and remained a leader on the board even as she went through a second lung transplant. Says her twin, Isa, who most of us here know and love, Anna felt volunteering at CFRI gave a purpose in her life that made meaning out of her struggles. Anna is missed by the entire CFRI community, and we are delighted to honor her. We are delighted to have this award in her honor. The recipient of the CFRI Partners in Living Award in memory of Anabel Stenzel is selected by CFRI's board of directors. To be considered, one must be a person with CF, have supported CFRI through volunteer and/or fundraising efforts, and embody the qualities exemplified by Anna, including courage, initiative, determination, adherence to medical regimen, community service, and positive coping. And now to present the award, I invite Bill Holt, President of the Board of Directors, to join me on stage.
So, our awardee has inspired others with CF for many years. An adult with CF, this man generously shares his time with CFRI in several capacities, most notably as a member of CFRI's Summer Retreat Committee, where he's involved with all aspects of the retreat planning. This individual has volunteered in the CFRI office and served on CFRI conference panels. He currently serves on CFRI's Research Advisory Committee and raises funds for CFRI, particularly through his workplace giving program. Most notably, this individual is beloved by his peers due to his warm and caring personality and quirky wit. He is dedicated to his health and inspiration to all. The 4th recipient of the CFRI Partners in Living Award in memory of Anabel Stenzel is Devin Wakefield. Devin, please join me. The CFRI Board of Directors is honored to present our annual CFRI Partners in Living Award in memory of Anabel Stenzel to you, Devin, exemplifying Anabel's spirit through your courage, determination, positive attitude, and volunteer service to CFRI. Congratulations. And now I hand you the plaque.
Yes, we want you to say a few words. Is this mic on? Good, just to keep the, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that one's all you.
Hi, everyone. This is a humongous, sorry. This is a humongous honor. I'm in the frame of the camera now. Anna was a remarkable woman, so to be regarded as following in her footsteps is a tremendous honor. She and I have a few similarities. We were both born with meconium ileus, and then got way too many bowel obstructions. We both have very loving families. Mine is here tonight, too. Thank you so much for coming, you guys. We both like to cuss, and I guess I shouldn't cuss if I'm being live streamed. Maybe Donald Trump is watching Kafifi. We both are very tired of BS, whether it's in somebody else or in our lungs or intestines. And we both have a very strong spirit of participation, and it's partly why we volunteer with CFRI so much, because CFRI has such a powerful history. Oh, right, I'm not supposed to move. Powerful history of engaging with the CF community and getting us involved too. And it's why all of you are here tonight as well. And I just wanted to highlight that, engaging with the people you're trying to help, with the people you're trying to work with. When you're feeling strong, that's the time to reach out and partner with everyone around you who might need help or who are struggling. And then when you are struggling, when you're stuck, when you can't see light at the end of the tunnel because you're a bowel obstruction in the small intestine, you can reach out, get some laxatives, and then you will find yourself freed, loosened, and splashing into the porcelain bowl of success. Thank you. And one other similarity we have is we both really like to make people laugh. Before Anna passed away, she was being an amazing comedian. I do it pro bono. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night. I Purelled.
Yeah. Any other acceptance, award speech would have been unacceptable. That was perfect. Devin, we are so happy to honor you, and I just have to say personally, the warmth and love and cheer and compassion that man exudes is just, it brings joy to many, many people's lives, so it's just thrilling. That's it. Gotta bottle that stuff. So, last year, CFRI's Board of Directors initiated the Paul M. Quinton Cystic Fibrosis Research Legacy Award to recognize the accomplishments of CFRI-funded researchers whose work has impacted the field, increased our understanding of the disease, and advanced our ability to progress in our search for a cure. It was most fitting that the recipient of this award in its inaugural year was our dear friend, Paul Quinton, who discovered the basic defect in chloride permeability that characterizes the dysfunction of CF-affected tissues. We are very fortunate to have Dr. Quinton here to pass the baton and bestow the award on another inspiring researcher. So please help me welcome Dr. Paul Quinton to the stage.
paragraph was in case Dr. Quinton hasn't prepared anything to say. So, actually, I think this may be more of an honor for me than it is for Jeff, because it really is an honor to be here for all sorts of reasons, but in particular because of Jeff. And Jeff and I have, well, we've been friends and colleagues for decades. And it started with me a little bit before Jeff, but his event started in 1981 with the birth of his daughter, who has cystic fibrosis and who tastes salty, which got his attention. And so via that, he was introduced to this disease, cystic fibrosis. And as a consequence, he and I have become very good friends, as well as, I hope, excellent colleagues. Well, I know excellent colleagues. And I'll just tell you a little bit about that, because Jeff was new to cystic fibrosis, of course. And I remember standing in the kitchen and getting a telephone call from this guy who introduced himself and said that he had a daughter, and he asked me about a paper that I just published. It was a paper on chloride impermeability and cystic fibrosis in Nature. As it turned out, he knew what I was talking about because he was a neuropsychologist, kind of a neurophysiologist, and I was really enthused, because in those days, this meeting would have been a cluster of maybe 40 or 50 physicians who took care of CF patients. And virtually no one knew anything about chloride or electrophysiology or anything like that. And so Jeff was the first person that I could really talk to about the work who understood what we were doing, because of his work with, of all things, crayfish. Okay, Jeff was an expert in crayfish, and actually really a very well-established scientist. I'll talk about that in a little bit also. But it's truly a great honor to be able to introduce an esteemed scientist. There are a couple of other things that I guess I would bring up in passing, because I've talked to several of the people and known several of the people for many years that worked with Jeff. And one of them said that he was hired sight unseen from Australia, and he was a patch clamper, and he came to Jeff's lab to patch clamps, or to clamp patches of membranes. And this is all probably just too technical, but his technique was to do it very slowly, and Jeff's technique was to do it very fast. Well, Jeff's technique worked. His technique worked also, but his system had a little leak in it. So it was about 2 months before he got a good patch. And he said later that Jeff told him, he said, you know, I thought I had made this mistake of my life in hiring you. but he didn't. And it turned out that Maury was one of the best guys available. They did really a terrific job. So another student said, I was so bad he should have run me off. But he was so nice that he just kept saying, come back, come back. And she kept coming back, and she's still coming back, and she's sitting right here. It's Miss Julie Desch. So the influence goes on and on. I guess from my own point of view, Jeff has been a terrific inspiration. Not only because he's been a brilliant scientist and taken the other love of my life, which is the sweat gland, to incredibly high heights. I mean, we have a lot of things in common, you know. I adopted my son the same year that his daughter was born, so they're the same age. And then we've both built our careers on sweat glands. And we've both been very interested in the lung and lately in airways. So there's been a lot of overlap in our interest. But I don't know if he realizes this, but he's been an incredible inspiration, not only to me, but I think to any number of other scientists. And the reason is because he had courage, and an incredible amount of courage. Because he came into cystic fibrosis from a field in which he was already well established, well respected for his neural work in the behavior of animals, and went into a field that he was really not very familiar with at all, and it was unknown, and really risked his entire career to join us in cystic fibrosis. And it shows, I think, the courage that it takes to do that. I mean, once you're into academics, you're usually on a fairly straight path, and you don't deviate a lot because each merit has to be earned and deserved, and you have your publications and the grants you get and that sort of thing. And to change directions and to go into another field is very risky. And Jeff recognized that. And one of the risks is that once you're established and you go to something else where you're not known, you can't get grant support. And you're not going to be very productive for a while until you understand what's going on and you can start getting things up. But he did it. And he did it with your help. Because in 1986, CFRI gave him a grant for $30,000 for 3 years. And that got him going. And the guy's still sitting back over there, inspiring us still. And so I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of you, because it's been great transition, a great. So I talked to Marlene to ask her what she could tell me on the nitty-gritty stuff, and. I don't know. You guys know Marlene, I guess, huh? Well, maybe you'll understand this from a quote I can give you. You know Mark Twain? You've heard of Mark Twain? Well, Mark Twain once said that 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead and one of them is Marlene. So she said, keep it straight, keep it short. Keep it short. But she also said that Jeff's greatest achievement is his daughter. And Jeff has been on top of his daughter's health since the beginning. And his message, from the basis of his experience, and I might even say his experiment with his daughter, is to keep the bugs eradicated from the lungs. So every time Nina got a little sniffle or something, he was on it. Nina is now 37 years old, very healthy, and running marathons and triathlons and I don't know what the heck else in Spain. So I think I'll leave you with that message. The only other thing that I would add is that Nam Su said that he was very impressed with Jeff the first year he was here as a postdoc, because they got their first specimen of a cystic fibrosis lung tissue. And Jeff, with his brilliance, has elaborated the technique so that you could follow the rate of single submucosal glands in the tissue, in the trachea. And they were doing that experiment, and they were doing the experiment, and they were doing the experiment that night. And so finally, Jeff went home, and just a little bit before Nam Su. And Nam Su then went home, and he said, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So He says, this shows that his dedication towards CF research was unchallengeable, and that attitude has not changed. Jeff?
Well, thank you all. Paul, that was a magnificent but overly long summary of my career. But it makes me able to do things much more quickly. You can simply invert all of the things that Paul said. All of the compliments that he paid me, I owe him squared or cubed, and the same goes for the people that he talked to about me. I am in the most envious position and am the luckiest person in the world. And I have been this way for a very long time because I will say, you know, it would be really nice if such and such would happen. And then, because of people like Marlene, or Namsu, or Megan Shinbashi in my lab, or long ago, Julie Desch, because of people like that, it happens, and I get some of the reflected credit. Paul taught me all that I know about cystic fibrosis. However, he is not responsible for all of the crazy ideas I have about the disease. He was right on when he said that CFRI got me started. CFRI actually played a big role in both my career and Paul's. When my daughter was diagnosed, I think the first people we talked to were Anne and Rob Robinson, and then the CFRI community in general. It made all the difference in the world. And my heart aches for those people who are in other places that don't have something like CFRI. So it's just magnificent that now this organization has been able to reach out for people all across the country so that they can experience what we had right from the beginning. The other huge thing that I had right from the start was our excellent CF clinic. Rick Moss, over the years, has been an amazing stalwart. I can remember us sitting down and arguing about Nina's care, and you don't realize how wonderful that is to have somebody, a physician, who will talk to you and say, well, yeah, that's a good idea, but have you thought about this? And usually I hadn't. So that was really wonderful. Colleen and Zoe have now become stalwarts in the research that I do. Mary is one of the reasons that Nina has done so well. Let me end by thanking two extremely special people. So Paul said that one of the reasons that Nina is so healthy is because of the care that she's received. And that's true, but I supplied the theoretical part of that, and Marlene supplied the actual hands-on work. It's really hard work, as all of you parents and CF people know, to keep someone healthy. And the last person I'd like to thank is my daughter herself, because at some point, and this is a really interesting phenomena, at some point, she began to see that my career, she took it upon herself
to keep herself healthy, just to help me. She felt, he's spotting these crazy ideas, and if I get sick, it's going to reflect badly on him. And so, and you all know you'll work harder for someone else's benefit than for your own. And that's what she did. And the result has been a lot of happiness all the way around, particularly mine, and I thank you all for helping me get here.